to another Iceman series segment. I wanted to go a little bit more in depth on how I developed a system on shooting from 0 to 40. Okay, I started playing around with my bow, I want to say 15 years ago, on how to figure out on shooting an arrow from like 0 to 30 without having to elevate or change my pin. Because 20 years ago I started shooting with a single pin, and my bow was, I want to say, shooting at, I had the Backdraft 80, and I think it was rated at 240 feet per second, I believe. And I think I was getting about maybe 185 feet per second, 180 feet per second, something like that, because I tried to shoot the lightest arrow that I can get away with, but I also made sure that I was getting good penetration in my target. So what I did, I started shooting at like 10 yards, and I was pretty close. I lowered my pin, because you got to lower your pin when you got your pins, and so your bow will raise up. So you lowered it. I lowered that pin. I shot again. I was at bullseye at 10 yards. I went back to 20 yards and shot. I got bullseye. I went back to 25 yards and shot. I got bullseye. I went back to 30 yards and shot. I still got bullseye. I went back to 35 yards and shot. That's when I started dropping. So I was like, huh. So a light came on in my head, and I thought about it. I said, you know what? I can hunt deer without sliding this pin from 0 to 30. But I made sure I had the right poundage. I was drawing, I think back then I was drawing like 65, 68 pounds, and I was using a 29-inch draw, and I think my arrow weight was 360 grains total arrow weight. And I noticed a lot of guys say, oh man, that's too light. But for years, like I said, I was harvesting bucks, was using a 335 grain arrow, and I was getting pass-throughs. So to me, it's all about self-preference, whatever you're comfortable with. But getting to this setup here, like I said, this is my Vertix, and like I said, I got the Vertix, the Integrate QAD Ultra Rest on here, and then I have the Tetra, HHA Tetra, added to it, thanks to my brother in Christ, Chris Ham from HHA Sports. Great guy, by the way. And what I did with this setup here, my draw length is 29 inches. My draw weight is 71 pounds. Okay, my arrow is 393.5 grains. I did the same exact setup with my Halon 6, my Triax, and now my Vertix. They all was like within 70.5 pounds, and I used the same exact arrow that I took to Africa. Kudu, wildebeest, blessed bucks, 2 impalas, and a warthog. So that's 6 animals with a 393 grain arrow. I mean, pass-throughs, complete pass-throughs on everything except the wildebeest, because they hit the opposite shoulder. But I'm gonna tell you, I made sure that this is a 350 spine Carbon Express Maximum Red. I'm sorry, Maximum Hunter. I have the this is the weight forward. This is the weight forward Maximum Hunter 350. But I had a Maximum Red Badlands same weight as well. But I like the weight forward when I went to Africa, but I just felt kind of comfortable with the weight forward technology, and I mean, it works great. But like I said, 393.5 grains, and like I said, I always do a gel test. I do a penetration test, and I also do a distant test, because okay, I'm shooting 71 pounds, and I'm drawing 29 inches and 393 grains. So I started playing around with this arrow, I want to say when I got my Halon 6, that's when I started playing around with this arrow. But backing up from that, when I had like my Bulltech Insanity, my Bear Carnage, those were 2 speed bows. I did the same exact thing with those bows. I backed up to find out how far I could shoot without having to elevate that pin. So like I said, I always sight in at 20 yards. Once I get that 20-yard mark set with the speed that I'm getting 321 feet per second. So when I get that speed, when I got the speed with the arrow weight, the arrow weight, when I get 321 feet per second, and I have the arrow weight of 393.5 grains, I got the draw length of 29, and my draw weight can be 70 pounds, but this one here is 71 pounds, and 1 pound to me, it's a bonus. And so I find out how far I can shoot, how far back I can walk and keep shooting. So I started shooting at 10 yards once I sighted my sight in, and once I got that 20 yards dead center, I started walking back to 30 yards, and I shot again without elevating that pin. I'm still shooting in the same spot. I go back to 40 yards and shoot, same spot. Go back to 45 yards and shoot, it starts dropping. So I said, I mean, to me, that's common sense. Some guys, they just didn't think I could do that. They don't think I can do that. And I was like, okay, just try it. But if you shoot a heavy arrow, if you shoot 480 grains, 500 grain, 550 grain arrow, you can't do that, because the arrow is going to drop. So think about it. If you're shooting something, if you're shooting an arrow that's light, it's going to fly flatter. That's just the law of physics. But if you shoot something heavy, it's going to drop every single time. But also make sure your spine is correct. Make sure you do a penetration test, because if you don't do a penetration test, just because you say, oh, I can shoot flat, you might wound the animal. You owe it to the animal to get a nice humane harvest. And also make sure, if you shooting a really light arrow under like 350, I wouldn't recommend using mechanical broadhead, especially the ones that fold back like the Grim Reaper. The ones that deploy from the rear, you can get away with that a little bit sometime, but I still wouldn't recommend shooting any mechanical broadhead if you're shooting a 350 grain total weight arrow. I would recommend going with a cut-on contact broadhead if you're shooting anything 350 grains and under, because you can really wound that animal. But like I said, to me it's simple. I just start at 10 yards, and when I'm setting up my bow, I make sure I do a penetration test. But you have to have a really decent draw length, 28 and a half. I'll say 28 through 31, 71 pounds, 400 grain. I mean 400 grain in that area, but like I said, this is a 393.5, but 400 grain, you may be able to get out to 35 yards, 38 yards without elevating that pin. But me, like I said, I dialed all 3 of my bows in, from the Halon 6 Tri-Ax and down the Vertix, the same exact way, because I kept the same formula that I used when I had my Halon. So if they have a bow, I want to say 10 years from now, that's going to be shooting 420 feet per second at 71 pounds or 75 pounds, you could probably shoot out to 50 or 60 yards without elevating that pin, because the arrow is going to match your weight and the speed of the bow. Is going to carry that thing down without you having to go up and down with that pin. So that's one of the things that really helped me step up my game when it comes to harvesting bucks, because I'm going to tell you, when you at full draw and you got that big huge thing 20 yards, 15 yards from you, then he's walking away a little bit, the chemicals in your brain sometimes make you look at the second pin, third pin, fourth pin. You're not even really focusing on that pin. You're focusing on that deer, the antlers, and everything more than the pins. So if you got that one pin and you have that bow, even if you have it where you can shoot from 0 to 30, if he's at 20 and then he walks off a little bit, like 26, you still got a nice spot. I'm sorry, you still got a nice 4 more yards to go. So without having to fumble with that dial and adjusting that pin, because I'm gonna tell you, when you got a mature buck in the area, and mainly if he's skittish, he's not gonna stay around for you long enough for you to start turning that dial and get back up again and draw it again. But you got to draw it again. But if you have that thing flat shooting and you got a good penetrating arrow, that's going to increase your odds on getting him, because you already at full draw and you still got the pin on him. You don't have to back down, adjust the dial, and pull back again, because by the time you do all of that, 9 times out of 10, he's going to be gone. So give that a try. Like I said, even if you 27-inch draw, 65 pounds, and you got a 350 grain arrow, try adjusting it from 0 to 30, 0 to 25 with a single pin. So I'm gonna tell you, that single pin it's hard to beat, but you gotta know how to work it. You gotta know how to work your equipment to benefit you. So all right, I hope that helped you. Iceman Series signing out. God bless you. Have a good season. This bird's got the best grip that ever came out with. Can't beat that Fergus, man. Can't beat it. If Matthews come up with something to beat that Fergus,